Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast, YouTube or Patreon or wherever you're watching this. My name is Kaan Bayazit, and I'm joined by my co-host, one of my two usual co-hosts, Kartal. Kartal, we're here to talk a little bit about the news, the latest developments, and I want to start off in particular with the whole mismanagement of the Necip Uysal and Mert Günok situation. As is almost tradition at this point for this president, for the club, for the board, for anything done within this club in the last couple of years. It feels like it's just another grade A example of, like I said, mismanagement, a situation that I think could have been handled a lot better. Not necessarily a bad decision in its own right, but it just should have been handled a lot better. And online, you're seeing some positive reactions to this, actually. You're seeing people, Beşiktaş is finally moving away from emotional JK to professional JK and stuff like that. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think this is a way to professionally handle a departure for a player that's been serving your club for 20 years. And you know as well as anyone who watches this podcast regularly, I am not a big Necip Uysal fan. I am not one of those people who considers him to be a big club legend. I don't think that his servitude at the club alone, like 20 plus years he's been at the club, 16 or so years as a senior player, I don't think that alone warrants you to get like legendary status. I don't think he ever achieved the level on the pitch required to be considered a legend, but that's me. But that doesn't mean that I think this is the right way to handle this sort of situation. So, I mean, how do you feel in first position? Let's talk about Necip, about him departing. There were rumors already, of course, that he would be retiring at the end of the season, unconfirmed, I believe. How do you feel about this situation as a whole? Of course, how it was handled, but also the ultimate outcome of it.
I think it's a disgrace. I don't think that's a way to treat someone that served the club for 22 years. Has been involved in the club since they were a young boy. Someone that's been professional throughout. Whenever anyone's been asked to take a wage cut, he's taken a wage cut. I mean, I think a player that was never a great player by any stretch of the word, but when you needed him was a serviceable player that could come in and plug some holes in your team, especially centre back. I think I like him as from what I can see, I like him as a character. Do I think he should be involved in Beşiktaş's squad in 2026 or December 2025? No, I don't. So I think, we just extended his contract last year, so see, this was clearly a coaching decision. It did say in the announcement it was the technical staff that made the decision first, but we could have cut ties last season when his contract expired. We just extended his contract. I think there's other ways you can go about it, where you can say, look, we don't want you on the football team anymore, but we'd like you to take up another role within the club. Firak Günay did say that was offered to him, but according to other sources, that's not the case. Apparently, Necip said that he knows as much as we do. And he's been trying to contact Sergen Yalçın about it, but hasn't been able to. I just don't think it's any way to treat a player that serves you for that long, and good player or not, has been professional and served the club to the best of his ability in that time. I think it's poor, man. It's poor. I kept a 1-2 paragraph statement saying that he's out the squad, man, for someone that serves you for that long. It's very tasteless, man. I do agree that he's got no business being in the squad just now. He shouldn't be playing.
And what's
the very most he could be kept around as a mentor in training, but
a mentor and training. I don't think, obviously Ozan Yakup made a statement about Necip and made a very nice statement about Necip playing alongside him for 10 years and all that kind of stuff. And he was full of praise for Necip's work ethic and professionalism, all that kind of stuff. And exactly what you said just now, a player that wasn't always a starter. He was on the bench at times, but he was always ready and ready to plug some holes and stuff like that. So Ozan Özyakup, somebody who played with him for such a long time, very full of praise of him. Also, and also, obviously disillusioned by the treatment of him. I think a question I would like to pose you is, do you think if Necip did not tear his ACL last season, do you think he would have gotten that contract extension still? He got a 2-year contract extension, I believe. Maybe they should have given him a year. Maybe they shouldn't have given him an extension at all. I mean, at the time, I think I said, this is not a nice way to retire. It's not. And I understand from Necip's perspective, it's his first big injury in his career. And he wants to see, okay, look, I can rehabilitate this injury and I want to see what level I can get to afterwards. I think from a club's point of view, it was a very poor decision to extend his contract for 2 years.
Yeah, it was an emotional decision, clearly.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the issues that I think Mert Günok, in a similar light, got an emotional contract extension. I believe he got like a 2 + 1 year extension, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mert's... how old is Mert?
I think it was just a year extension. I'm pretty sure Mert's deal's done in 2027. But I was watching a video about the squad situation.
I think it was a 2 + 1 year extension, and I'll look it up just to be sure. It's probably it'll register as a 2-year extension. So let me have a look here on the TFF website. It'll have the official number, because sometimes people look on Transfermarkt, but Transfermarkt isn't always accurate. Transfermarkt sometimes gets it wrong. So his contract is running until the 30th of July 2027. So he still has a year and a half left on his contract. I think Mert had a really good spell last season, but I think it's weird though, Kartal. If you remember with Atiba, when he started getting to a certain age, we started extending him a year at a time every time. Why are Necip and Mert? I think the fact that they got 2-year extensions. By the way, this is a decision made by Serdal Adalı. He can't put this on a previous board. He extended both of these players' contracts. 2-year extensions for 35-plus-year-old players. I mean, Necip, I think, is about to turn 35 in 2026. Mert, I believe, is from 89, so he'll be 36 right now. I think those were very poor decisions to begin with, and I think I said at the time, Mert, yes, he had a good end of the season last year, but in an ideal world, you replace him and you move on, or you keep him as the number 2, and because he's a 35, 36-year-old goalkeeper, it makes more sense to keep him on the bench than Ersin, who can still have a nice career if he moves away. And he needed to move away, in my opinion, Ersin. Although I've changed my mind on that now. I think Ersin right now is playing up to the level that we would expect from him. I think, the non-flashy, reliable goalkeeper with, unfortunately, not great feet. If Ersin can put this type of a performance forward, I would gladly have him as our number 2 for the coming years and have Mert go on. But the question is, with Necip, I think, it's mainly not so much about does he still have a place in the squad. The fact of the matter is you gave him an extension. And now you can say, okay, look, you had a chance to look how you rehabilitated your injury, how you came back, what level you can attain after coming back. I think we can all agree that the level Necip has come back at is not where he was before the injury. Not to say that before the injury he was playing at an amazing level. Although I think I said, like last year, 2 years ago, I think this is the best Necip I've seen in a very, very long time, maybe ever, because he was, I don't know, he as a central defender, I thought he was playing really, really well alongside Zainuddinov for a while. That pairing did really well. And then
the 23-24
Yeah.
season, he was a starting centre back alongside Omar Colley.
and Zainudinov as well. He played with Zainudinov
Less
for
so.
a while.
Zainudinov played less so. Latterly, it was mainly Omar Colley.
Yeah, but that was probably the best. I mean, would you agree that was the best Necip we've seen in like his senior?
I mean, he was getting a lot of praise that season, and then obviously it was the first game of the following season, the 24-25 season, where he sustained that injury. He was very good
for his standards.
For his standards, of course, he didn't turn into Pepe.
Prime Pepe,
Sergio Ramos. It was good for his standards. He put in a good shift in that season.
Yeah,
and we were thinking maybe he could be the fourth choice centre back the following season. So that's what we mean by very good for his standards. I think so. That was fair, but obviously he sustained that injury. And then at that age, it is hard to come back from a big injury like that. And he's not really played since. He played that Gustav game and it was terrible. But he played in that game as a defensive midfielder, which he's never really been good enough at. Certainly.
And that was also Sergen's decision.
He hasn't really played that position in about 6-7 years.
That was longer. I think Slaven Bilic was maybe the last one to really use him there for a while.
Predominantly, but then if you remember that famous Galatasaray game in 2019, that's the one that ended. We lost. Was it 2-0?
Was it
2-1?
Was it the one where Negredo missed?
It was a year after that. Oh. So the midfield was like Atiba, Doruka, and Necip.
Oh yeah, okay.
And everyone was berating Channel Hoja, I think rightly so, in that game. I think that was the last time he really played midfield.
So that's this season. So 6 years ago, and that was one game. I mean, look, I think it's another example in a long list of really poorly managed situations by this board, and I think, regardless of what the technical staff's decision was, and that's also, I feel like they're hiding behind this, right? Like the statement says it's a technical staff decision. Yeah, okay, but why drop him from the squad? Like, what possible harm is Necip going to do in the next 6 months? Like, what possible harm would Necip ever do? Like, he's always been a loyal servant of the club. And look, there's been contradicting reports, as you say. Like, there's some people who are suggesting, like, there was attempts to talk to him about taking a trainer course and you know, quitting and all that kind of stuff, like retiring, joining the technical staff. There's suggestions of that being made in the media, whether that's true or not. Let's, for the sake of argument, pretend that that's true. I mean, even if that is true and he is refusing that, okay, then what you do, I think, is very simple. You just keep it behind closed doors. You tell him, look, if you're not gonna play ball here, we're just gonna, at the end of the season, we're gonna announce towards the end of the season, like, this is gonna be your last match in a Beşiktaş shirt. You can stay if you insist on seeing out your contract. You can be part of the club for a year and not play, and we'll put you in the B team next season. We'll put you with the kids, or you'll have to separate yourself from the team. We'll make you cadre audition next season if you don't leave on your own merit. But at least then you're like, I feel like this club is so, like, they're so dumb. Like, you're making yourself out to be the villain. You can handle this so much better. You say, okay, look, at the end of the season, the last game of the season, a couple of weeks before, we're gonna say this is gonna be Necip's last game. We're gonna print shirts with pictures of you in the number, like they did for Atiba. And then they're just gonna give him this send off. And then if Necip, I mean, look, in that situation, if Necip then says, no, I'm gonna see out my contract, I still got a year, then Necip's the bad guy in people's eyes, and then nobody's going to criticize the board, nobody's going to criticize the coaching staff. Now you're putting yourself in this villainous role. It just makes no sense. You've got 6 more months.
Yeah.
What do you possibly stand to gain from dropping him from the squad now? It's just so many thing to give ammunition to people who have been critical of this board. You know, people like us, but people like anyone really. Like you're not making it very difficult for people to criticize you because you're just doing these boneheaded things time and time and time again.
No, it's no way. I think that'd be a great solution. You could say to him, look, Necip, after this season, we don't want you on the squad. You, as you said, you can announce towards the end of the season that this is Necip's farewell match. And then if he doesn't agree to that, you could even just pay out the rest of the remaining year of his contract at that point. Because I doubt that's that much anyway.
And at the end of the day, as a club, you have the power to say, look, this is going to be your last match. We're not going to use you anymore after this. This is the end of the season. You can take it or leave it. We are going to present it as your last match. If you say, I will see out my contract, that's your decision. We'll pay you for the year, but you're not going to be part of the team. There's not going to be any opportunity for you to come back. I mean, and this is a what if scenario, right? Like, I don't even believe that Necip would be that like that. Like, I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
You know, Necip.
There's a lot of people saying that he just knows as much as we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and
then he's been trying to call the coaching staff, Sergen in particular, and not being able to get a hold of him.
Yeah. I believe he said that he's only been able to speak to Sergen Yalçın, and that Sergen Yalçın has communicated the decision to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, man. There's better ways to go about it. Mert as well, you give him this 2-year extension last winter, and now he's been made cadre this year as well. I mean, that, although maybe Mert's a toxic person in the locker room, who knows?
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Again, this is something that could have been said for the summer.
Yeah. With Mert,
I'm not as bothered about Mert, but Necip's the one.
Yeah, with Mert. With Mert, I can imagine like there's a situation of where Mert wants to play, and he's being difficult behind the scenes because he thinks he should play or something. Maybe there's that, and maybe you want to kind of force the situation where you're like, okay, Mert, go join another club now. But even then, like, why make this statement? Why drop him from the team publicly like this? You can just say to him, look, we don't need you anymore. We don't want to continue with you. Just look for a club in January. And that's it.
Yeah.
Very poorly handled situation. But yeah, it's just like there's so many examples of situations getting handled very poorly by this club.
So it's one of many examples.
Yeah. It's like it's like an endless list of boneheaded decisions by this club.
Yeah.
It's and I think it just stems from a lack of leadership. There isn't a very clear leader. I think something like this would never happen under Fikret Orman. And Fikret Orman made plenty of mistakes, but like he was a leader, and Serdal Adalı just isn't. Like we said this so many times. Like he likes to pretend on television that he's a strong leader. He likes to talk big, but when push comes to shove, he doesn't have the backbone to back things up. He's a big talker on TV and stuff like that, but like he doesn't even have the dignity to contact a player like Necip, who's been serving this club for 20 years. It's a really sickening decision, you know.
Yeah, no, it's no good, man. Like Necip is a player that should have been. It should be leaving the club in a nice way, you know, some sort of ceremony at least.
Yeah,
100%. A jubilee match.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not a nice situation at all, man, and it's been horribly dealt with by the club, and it's got to that point where I wouldn't blame Necip if basically the bridge has completely been burnt. But knowing him as well, I don't think it will be. I think he would be receptive to making amends.
Yeah, I think so. Just a second. Yeah, and in Turkey, I think one of the big issues, I don't know what you think about it, Kartal, but we rarely see nice farewells from legendary players, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you remember, Alex kind of got booted out the club at Fenerbahce.
Yeah.
Quaresma even.
Quaresma, you booted out twice.
Quaresma wasn't a great departure.
You booted out twice.
Yeah. The second time around, I don't remember if it was that bad.
No, basically there was news dropped to
Right.
Hadjam
Yeah, you're right.
said that he was going to be cadro this year, and Quaresma said it was bullshit. And then
he came back,
like,
not fake news.
2 days later, and Sergen said not fake news, so Quaresma was made to look like a clown.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Snyder at Galatasaray was like, just his number was just taken away in preseason, I believe.
Given to Belhanda.
Yeah. So like, Turkish football culture just has this tradition of not handling departures very well. Like, I think Atiba had a decent farewell, although even there I know that he didn't play in the last game, which I know there was a disappointment about from his camp, and understandably so, right?
Yeah.
But at least he was given like a farewell, like a special shirt was produced for it, with pictures of him in the name set and the number set and stuff like that. Yeah. I have one of those actually, for one of those shirts, which is really cool. And that I think that in the last 25 years is probably the best handled departure of a club legend, other than Shifo Mehmet, who I think had a fantastic departure, a fantastic jubilee match, which was
I'm pretty sure Oktay Derridol had one as well.
Oktay had one, but that was like 13 years later or something. I think Orman organized that in like 2013, but he had been retired at that point for like a decade, and he hadn't played for the club in like 14, 15 years.
So that was a strange one.
That was a very strange one, yeah. Especially because it was done for Oktay. Like, it was like, why for Oktay? For all, like, there's other people you could have done it for Sergen, for example. Sergen didn't leave the club in a nice way twice. Very few legendary players, are allowed to leave on their own terms, and especially in the last quarter century. So it's something that traditionally in Turkey just doesn't get handled very well, and not just by Beşiktaş, by all the clubs. Like, in fact, I mean, I think you could argue that Beşiktaş probably one of the clubs that still handles it best, and that's not saying much, Yeah,
I mean, the only players that leave on good terms are the ones that do well, and we seem to do terribly with players that are in decline. And you just need to know when to say goodbye and how to say it properly, but we seem to be really bad at that.
Yeah, it's almost as if like it's almost like it's seen as the player's responsibility, where the player needs to make the decision, like leave on a high, like Mario Gomez, like just say okay. Obviously he only had the one season.
Gomez decided to finish out his career at Beşiktaş. The last season they were probably swearing at him, let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
It's probably better in a way they had that one magical season where they led us to a first league title in 7 years.
Yeah.
Obviously a few seasons like that would have been great, but ultimately Gomez retired in 2020, just 4 years after that. So had he committed the rest of his career to Beşiktaş, maybe he would have had 3 great years, and then in the last couple he probably would have been getting sworn at and treated as public enemy number 1 by then.
Also, I mean, I think especially like that was kind of towards the end of the era of the really strict foreigner rule, but like also that made it very difficult. I remember with Rodrigo Teo thinking like, this is a player we should be keeping. Like, this isn't the player we should be. Like, he left, I thought, when he still was good enough to have something to offer the club, but he was taking up a foreigner spot at the time. And that's one of the things I always really disliked about the foreigner rule, is that you couldn't keep players like that around longer.
For depth,
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Theo still had like 1 or 2 good seasons at Eskişehirspor. He could have perfectly been a serviceable squad rotation player, but especially in that time, if you couldn't perform anymore at like the highest level, like you were sent away as well, unceremoniously.
Look at Delgado, man. Delgado went on to continue to have a good career at Basel after he left us. He was frozen out because to make space for Guti. If there was a situation where you could have had them both, maybe we could have used Delgado for another 3-4 years because he done well for Basel. Yeah,
exactly. And he was having a good pre-season and qualifiers in the Europa League, or I think it was the Europa League qualifiers. That like he even scored a couple goals. And then Guti came and we had to make room and he had to go. And the same thing for Bobo, right? Bobo had to go because Almeida was coming in January.
Yeah.
And like Bobo, like our best striker, and at that point our best striker of the last decade, maybe. He had played for the club for 5 years, 5 solid seasons for him. And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, no, sorry, you have to go now because we need a new toy. And yeah, that's just that was that era, of course. You would hope it would be easier, but we're not even talking obviously about foreigners here. We're talking about Necip and Mert. So like even if like that's not like it's not like we're making room for anyone, right? Especially not with Necip. With Mert, you can argue, okay, Mert probably has a decent wage. He probably makes close to, I would imagine, between 1.5 and 2 million a year. So you can imagine, okay, look, there you're trying to make room for a new goalkeeper and all that kind of stuff, okay. But I think both of us are kind of like, with Mert, we kind of get it. I still think it was handled poorly, but we kind of understand. But with Necip, it should have just been handled. Should have just been handled with so much more class and dignity. And that's just where we are with the club right now. You know, I feel like the identity of the club has been lost. You know, we're no better than Fenerbahce and Galatasaray right now in terms of ethics and all that kind of stuff. You know, and Beşiktaş.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and we should be. I mean, look, okay, maybe I'm pushing it a little bit. I mean, we're not doing super dirty shit like, you know, what's happening right now in Turkish football with Galatasaray. It's interesting to see how that's going to develop, and we're not there. But I think we are at a point now where Beşiktaş have kind of lost its soul a little bit. We're not buying league titles and all that kind of stuff. We're not, you know, doing match fixing and all that kind of stuff. But we're definitely at a point where we're just not considerate of our club legends. The values have gone out the window. And I think, again, you know, to come back to Serdal Adalı, I think a lot of that just comes and goes with the president. I think this president just is not, like, he's been a Beşiktaş fan for all his life, clearly, but, like, I don't understand why, because, like, he does not reflect any of the core values of the club. He doesn't. Like,
he's a liar. He's a pathological liar at this point.
Yeah, a blowhard, pathological liar.
I mean, I saw what you put in the chat the other day. It was revealed that there was no sponsors involved in the El Ricardo and Kenny Arroyo transfer. When we were told it would be sponsors doing those signings. I mean, just another example in a long list of lies from our president. I mean, at this point, I just think I've kind of given up on the whole the president and coach should change thing. I think at this point we just need to see what happens and hope for the best. So I don't see any changes.
That's so difficult though, Kartal, though, because like, look, we ended 2025 on a high now, right? We got a win against Rizespor in the league. It's not a big deal, but then we got the win against Fenerbahce in the cup. And look, I know Fenerbahce were lacking a lot of players. We were lacking some important players as well. But it was still a great way to end 2025. So you're going into that January transfer window with renewed hope, on a positive note, and then like this club. These people in charge of the club, like it's almost like they have to find a way to kill the buzz. Yeah. Like it's like almost like they're doing it on purpose. Like, oh, we can't have these people feel too good, you know. Like, let's ruin their New Year's periods, vacation, whatever. let's throw some oil on the fire there because there's not enough chaos anymore. It's like they're doing it on purpose. And this is like the perfect moment, right? Like Fenerbahce, their president has been detained for drug use. Galatasaray's former vice president has been detained for match fixing, which could have a very long repercussions for the club. They'll probably weasel out of it, but if there's a significant possibility here that this could have some serious ramifications for them. So really, if you think about it, this is kind of a opportunity for Beşiktaş to maybe, just stay quiet, stay under the radar, maybe make a couple of good moves in January, try to find stability, and then hope that both those cups crumble in the second half of the season. Look, we're loads of points behind. A championship might not be possible, but look, if they decide to relegate Galatasaray, then you can already... Yeah, it's not, but let's let's just imagine it for a second. Let's say they relegate them to the third division or something. Then it's already like those 12 points. It doesn't matter anymore because they're gone. And if Fenerbahce become like a headless chicken because their president's in jail or whatever, or because they're gonna go through another election or whatever, like if there's some chaos there, they stop dropping points. Like you never know what could happen, and then you have us, and you're like, yeah. No, we're not going to capitalize on all that chaos in those other clubs. We're just going to create our own chaos, and we're just going to self-implode some more.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people like us as well saying that it's been done badly as well. But as you said at the top of the show, Kaan, there's also people happy that we're done with emotional reflexes. But this is certainly in my eyes a rash and disrespectful action, and a lot of people agree with that. So I don't think this is going to put us into chaos or anything like that. It's just mismanaged.
No, but it's just we were going into the new year on a positive note. The fans were, I think, kind of getting unified behind the team again a little bit, and you have this opportunity, I think, with a couple of good transfers to really turn things around in the second half of the season, make a serious run for the cup, make a run for the top three, and then build towards next season. Just build momentum, build positivity, but you can't help yourself. You have to create more negativity around the club by doing this. Like, this could have been handled so much more professionally, so much better. And I think both you and me are in agreement here. Like, Necip should have probably never even had an extension in the first place. He has no place at the club as a professional footballer. As a staff member, that's a different thing. You can still have him around in different manners, but like even that, like I've criticized this in the past. Like, why is Serdar Toprak Tepe the coach of the youth team? Why is Serdar Toprak Tepe now the head of the academy? Like, what has he ever proven that he is capable of doing that? Like, I'm in favor of having former players in high positions of the club if they have the capabilities to handle those. But if you're gonna, like Samet Aybaba, like 20 years ago, probably would have been good behind the scenes. But like now, he's still living in 1982. Like his way of doing things doesn't work anymore in a professional environment, and we saw that. So like, it's not because these people are like, as players, were legends, all that kind of stuff, that they automatically have to get a position within the club. I think the most professional people need to be given those positions. Look, that's not going to happen with this board either. But in an ideal world, you run a club professionally. You have the best possible people in charge. If they have a history with the club, that's a major added bonus. But if they don't, I think you still need to go for the most capable people. Not necessarily like they don't need to have a Beşiktaş history. Like in fact, there's been a lot to do about board members with Galatasaray past and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I think if those people are really professional and capable, I don't really care that much. Like, obviously, we don't see whether that's the case or not, but
I do care, because I think in Turkey, keeping that being for a start, I don't think Turks are that professional in general. But I definitely wouldn't trust a Galatasaray supporting board member. I think in
Yes,
terms
I
of
understand,
coaching
but-
staff, it's different. Like if you can get a really good coach that's got a past with Galatasaray, then why not? It's
Yeah.
not a problem for me at all.
Yeah.
Last year, I was very open in saying that around the time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was hired, that Arda Turan was my candidate for the job. He's doing a decent job, not
Yeah.
amazing, but a decent job with Shakhtar Donetsk just now.
Yeah.
So in terms of coaching staff, or even like a director, I mean, look, Under who's in, someone in Turkey that's kind of considered to be a decent sporting director for Turkish standards. We brought him in, and he's a Fenerbahce fan, you know, so it's stuff that we can do. Board members I don't agree with, but personally I think for the sporting director and stuff like that, and for people that are going to be the main guys in the recruitment process in the club, I think ideally I'd rather a foreigner being allowed to do that comfortably.
Yeah,
Without
I mean,
any
it
intervention.
doesn't
But
need to.
I don't think that's possible.
It doesn't need to. I think the biggest issue is necessarily whether it has to be a foreigner. I think the biggest issue is like whether a Turkish board can give like that type of power out of their hands. Like, I mean, just the fact that even with Hasan Arat, like Brad Friedel wasn't allowed to be called the sporting director, and of course it had something to do with Aiba Batu, but even now, like with Edward Graaf, like Edward Graaf came in, there was nobody there to object him being called a sporting director, and they still couldn't call him a sporting director, you know?
Yeah,
it's
chief
just,
scout and technical director of football or something like that.
It's just these ridiculous, silly things because people have these fragile little egos, and they need to be in the spotlight, you know? Yeah. Anyway, so you were talking about just hoping for the best. Let's do a little bit of hoping for the best here then. Let's talk a little bit about the rumors in the media right now, because of course we're entering the January transfer window. Nothing concrete happened yet, but there's some names out there that look like we're seriously in for them. Let's start with Salih Özcan from Borussia Dortmund. He kind of fell off the wagon at Dortmund. He was, for the longest time, he was a player that was being utilized quite frequently, usually in a rotation role. He's been a mainstay for the Turkish national team, also in a rotational role. But this season for Borussia Dortmund, he's barely playing. I think he only played about 4 games this season, 100-odd minutes, barely getting any playing time there right now. And he's a player that just maybe 6 months ago, 18 months ago, a year ago, they were talking about 6, 7, 8 million euros for him. I believe he's 27 years old right now.
Yeah, it's the same age as me.
Yeah, and they're talking about a 3 million fee. He's still in a good age. Does he fit the profile of the player that you would like to see next to Orkun Kökçü, maybe next to Ndidi in midfield? Do you think he is somebody that can help lift the team up to a higher level and is something that we could use and need?
I think he could do a good job. I don't know if he'd be the perfect match. I'd actually quite like to see like a more of a energetic box to box type next to Orkun, but I think he certainly could be that guy next to Orkun. Yeah, there's a possibility of it. Would he be my first choice? Probably not, but I think he could definitely do that job. I think if you're looking at the names in the media, I'd prefer Raskin, or I'd prefer actually there's a boy that was in the press today. I watched him on YouTube.
Yeah, Boudaoui or something.
Yeah, it was Hicham. Let's see, Mustafa Korkut. Let's see, so it's Hicham. Let's see.
Boudaoui, I think.
Yeah, Hicham Boudaoui.
Boudaoui.
I actually watched that.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us will be saying that properly, to be honest.
No, if I can see it, if I see it, I can pronounce it, but I didn't remember if it was Boudaoui or Boudaoui. But I guess he's like Algerian or Tunisian or something.
Let's just call him. We'll just call him Hicham.
Hicham. I used to be in school, and I was a kid in school that was also called Hicham. So he pronounced his name Hicham, so I imagine that's how you pronounce it.
So we'll go for Hicham for the benefit of the show. I did watch him. I looked at his stats. His ground duels are okay. His his passing accuracy is not isn't that high, which maybe might be a bit of a concern because indeed he's aren't that high, but he creates quite a lot of chances for a box to box midfielder. So that's probably maybe more down to the risk in his passing. His dribbling stats are very, very good. His aerial duels aren't too great, but I did watch him on. Obviously, you can't really make your mind up a player from a YouTube skills video, but
no.
I did watch a YouTube skills video because I don't really have the time.
But what do you think, like profile wise? What would you ideally like to see our midfield consist of? So obviously you have Orkun, you already have the creative fulcrum. What would you like to see next to him? Like, which two profiles do you think fit? Well,
we're going to get to something in a second, but I'd like to see a set of defensive mid that's got better feet than Ndidi and better passing. And then I'd like a box-to-box centre mid next to Orkun as well that's good defensively. That's what I want to see.
Okay. I think I have to be honest. Like when it comes to Salih Özcan, like we've been linked with him so many times over the last couple of years, and I never really know what to expect from him because I find these types of midfielders, I find them very, very difficult because I feel like with these type of players, you need to watch the team he plays for week in, week out to truly appreciate what makes this player special, what makes the player good. I feel like with players like him, the same thing is true with like an Ndidi and like an Atiba and like those types of players. I really feel like those are the players, if you don't pay attention to them, you barely notice them in games. I feel like with especially like Atiba, he always had a great passing accuracy and stuff like that, but like he's not like a super flashy player. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I kind of feel the same thing about Salih Özcan. Like I don't really know what really to expect from him.
I like him for the national team, man, but I don't know if he's my ideal pick for the team. But I was watching Olivier Christian's analysis of him, and he says Salih Özcan's the type of player that he's like a 6 out of 10 at everything for a midfielder. He's not amazing at any one thing, but he can do everything.
But he's also
he wouldn't be his ideal pick, but he said that he thinks it could work with him, and he said it would work with him beside Orkun.
One of the things that I think that would potentially work really well, and this is me going off of an assumption, but Salih Özcan's been playing for Borussia Dortmund for quite a while. And Borussia Dortmund, of course, are known for their intense pressing, gegenpressing game style. And I think this is something Sergen really, really likes that. Really likes that type of intense, high-pressure play. And I think in that regard, somebody like Salih Özcan could really fit what Sergen wants from his team. And that is also one of the things with Orkun. Orkun was known for being a very good instigator of the press at Feyenoord. He was really, really known for that. So he's a player that plays rather intensely. And I know we've had people in the past like talking about Orkun and talking about how he should focus more on the attacking compartment and he should spend less energy on defending and all that kind of stuff. But, really, I think Orkun is the type of player who does use a lot of energy and needs to do that to get into a game as well. I think he needs to get kind of stuck into a match. I think he needs those nasty little falls from time to time. I think that's all part of his game. I think in that regard, and look, admittedly, I feel like I'm not really somebody who could comment properly on what Salih Özcan is exactly, type of player he is exactly. But I do think that, like, in terms of assuming that he's somebody who's known, who functions well in that type of a game style, I think he could accommodate someone like Orkun in that as well. And then I don't know, with Ndidi, I think he's a really good ball winner. I think he's excellent at that. Yeah. I don't know how that's gonna work. I think having somebody like Salih Özcan there, who also is known for doing more defensive work and bringing more balance to the midfield, that could alleviate some of the pressure off of Ndidi. I think Ndidi right now is often isolated as the only defensive midfielder, gets pressed by two players, and he doesn't handle that very well because technically he's not the best. Maybe that could alleviate a little bit of pressure off him and maybe allow him to shine more. But on the other hand, I think Ndidi, one of the issues with Leicester and Genk before that, Genk played a pretty high tempo game. I don't remember exactly because it's been such a long time who was the coach back then and what type of football they were playing at the time. Because it's been like 8-9 years or something. But no, it's not been that long. I think it's been like 7 years. But that might have been Philippe Clement actually. So they were playing a pretty high intense football style as well. So I'd like to see that because like there's been a lot of criticism now on Ndidi lately, especially because of his performances in the big games. But I still want to see Ndidi in a midfield where there's balance, because for the most time now we've seen a two-man midfield essentially, whether it was Rafa or it's Czerny, and I think Czerny works hard and presses hard and all that kind of stuff, but still...
He's not a bad fielder though.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I would hold out the jury on Ndidi for at least 6 more months if somebody like Salih Özcan comes in. When it comes to like these players like Hicham and other players that are being mentioned in the media, I think right now for January, I think you play it safe. You bring in somebody like Salih Özcan, and then in the summer, I think you can be a little bit more. You can bring in someone like a Hicham, but I think he's like 21 years old, 22 years old or something like that.
26.
Yeah, okay, 26. Yeah, that's different. But still, I feel like if you bring in a player that's completely strange to a culture, coming from a different league like that, I would probably try and stave that off, especially in a role like that. You want to have them in the training camp. You want to have them...
Watch him on YouTube, though. Have a look at him after the show, and I think you really like what you see.
Yeah, but I don't think... I personally don't think that we need a refined technical player there. I'd rather see high intensity, stamina, energy, ball recuperation, decent passing, but not elite. I think you need to build around Orkun. I don't think you need to have somebody that competes with Orkun, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah. No, but I think he could actually be that guy, because see if you look at his performance last season, see his tackling statistics are very good. His duels are average, aerial duels aren't good, but see his tackling, his interception, recoveries, possession won in final third, his tackles won.
Yeah. But don't you think that's like shots. I think that's
very they're all in the green, man.
But Kartal, don't you think we need that physical presence there? Because Orkun doesn't have the aerial duels, doesn't have that kind of stuff. I think that's one of the things I like about Salih Özcan. Salih Özcan is decent in the air as well. He scores from time to time on corners, on set pieces. And Didi is also physically strong in the air and that kind of stuff. Like, I think one of the things that we've lacked the last couple of years, don't you think that's been presence, aerial presence, that kind of stuff? So
it's definitely a concern, but like this guy, like he's not an attacking midfielder. Yeah, he's a box-to-box midfielder. This Hicham guy, he can play the big game both ways. Defensively, stats are good. He's in fact, see, I watched his YouTube video, and my thoughts on him were, is that he's similar to Jedson, but technically better in terms of his passing and his dribbling. But I thought he's not as strong as Jedson. That was kind of my thoughts. But his defensive stats are there as well. But I can certainly see that concern of yours about that. Like, you want someone that's good in the aerial duels as well. In fact, while we're talking about that, it might be a good idea to actually have a look at Salih Özcan's numbers in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't look at this season.
Well, you're not going to see much. Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. You're not going to see much in this season. Mm-hmm. But one of the things as well with like the Hicham Boudaoui, I think is Boudaoui. Yeah, Boudaoui. I think with his thing, like he's also like small. He's like 175. I think Salih Özcan's a little taller. I think he's like 183 or something like that. Yeah. Or is he 180? I don't know. Let me check actually.
Yeah, Salih Özcan's good in the duels, man. He's better than Hicham.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, like, again, like, I'm not a far from...
He's 175, Kaan, that was right, 175. Yeah, so he might be a bit short, I understand that, but I wouldn't make a mistake and say he's an attacking midfielder. He's very much a box-to-box that is, on the ground anyway, a good defender. Mm-hmm. His tackling stats are very, very good. His dual stats are about average. Get a lot of interceptions, a lot of tackles, but an amazing ball carrier as well. That's something we don't
Also,
really have much of in the team. Is ball carriers.
Questions also like what's the price going to be on him? What's the price tag going to be on him? Salih is probably going to be a bargain at 3 million, something like that. We can probably bring him in cheap. Somebody like Boudaoui, he's probably going to be quite expensive. I don't know how long his contract is running with. Is it Lens? No, who is he playing for? Or Rennes?
It's
Nice. Oh, okay. So I mean, obviously it depends on the contract duration. It says here that he's valued around 14 million euros according to FOTMOB. So that's a lot of money. Obviously,
he's got a contract in the summer.
Okay.
In fact, no, sorry, not had the following
next summer. Yeah. Okay, well that plays a part though. That definitely plays a part in how much a club can stand to ask for him. So yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think I would be perfectly satisfied if we brought in Salih Özcan now. Then we can look in the summer at different profiles. Also evaluate how Ndidi pairs with Ogun and Salih Özcan. Maybe you don't like, maybe Ndidi's performance doesn't improve. I think that Ndidi is a little over-criticized right now. I think he gets a lot of flack, especially for those derby performances, but I think in general he's been decent. Also, I think his passing is a little bit over. It's like there's a lot of like people act like he can't pass. I've seen him give a couple of really good passes. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. He's not.
I think the main concern is in the pressure situations. When he gets the ball, he can't be trusted, I think, in those situations.
But it's the same with, like, for example, somebody like Musrati. Who's known for being a fantastic passer of the ball. But, like, as soon as he got put under pressure, like, he lost the ball constantly. And Didi's lost it a few times. I feel like and I think he's been very unfortunate because they were high-profile losses of possession, especially, like, the one against Galatasaray. I think he had one recently as well. Oh no, that was like
I feel like the clearances lack composure as well. That's a big problem.
But that
and he's clearing the ball.
But that's the game. Which one was that? That's the Trabzon game. But he's not the only one in that position clearing uncomposed.
But still, they should. I think they should be clearing the ball better.
Yeah, but they're all doing it. They're all doing it. But we're only.
So you think that's a bad coach?
No, I think that's a team being in panic mode. So yeah, to an extent, bad coaching. But I think that's just as a team collectively not coping well with pressure. So I don't think it's just Ndidi there. I think I think Gökhan cleared it poorly first. Like there was like a chain reaction of bad. Like
Gökhan's the fucking
two, three bad clearances.
Bad clearances, man.
Yeah, but
Gökhan's the king of bad clearances.
Yeah, of course. But like Gabriel Paulista with a bad clearance, Emirhan has a bad clearance in them. Like they all have a bad clearance in them. I think it's just a little unfortunate, and it just gets magnified to such an extent where I don't know. I feel like people are way too quick on passing judgment, and also you need to keep in mind like team, like where the team is at, like. And I've said this before with Jetson, like people were very critical of Jetson a couple of years ago. And it's like a good player can only, like obviously you can be exceptional, you know, like Orkun, like a Cherny, but also they're playing in different positions. But especially if you're playing, I think, in a more defensive role, and if your team is kind of struggling and you're under pressure a lot, I think it's really easy to not see the best of a player. And I think a couple of years ago you had that with Jetson. People were like, "Oh, what kind of player is this? He can't even pass the ball." This is the same thing. People were saying the same thing, like he can't pass the ball. And people are saying the same thing about Ndidi now. I've seen a couple of passes where I thought, like, that's a really good pass, but nobody's talking about it because whoever, I think it was a last game or the game before that, before he went to the Africa Cup, he had like a really nice opening to the right. Maybe it was Rashica there, and then of course nothing happens. But it's like a really nice long ball, and it's like, yeah, okay. And then last game,
he does have some decent passes in him, but I do think that the composure's lacking, man. That's what I think the biggest problem is.
That's fine, but he's not the only one. He's not the only one, is what I'm saying.
I think, see, another player that's been mentioned in the media, if this happens, I think that solves all your problems with Ndidi. And Ndidi will have a much better career at Beşiktaş. If we can sign Olivier, Boscagli, I mean, this guy, man, I don't really know the player, but I've just been looking at his stats and read about him.
I know him well from his time at PSV.
He played in your neighbouring country. I'm just going to start with this. This guy is a centre back that occasionally plays left back, and in the Eredivisie last season, a centre back that occasionally plays left back had 5.33 expected assists. That tells you all about the
he's a phenomenal ball playing central defender. The problem with Boscagli, and is also why I knew going to the Premier League was a bad decision for him. It's like I think he's like 181. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, yes.
He's not very tall. He's not he's not a physical specimen. And in the Premier League, as a central defender, you need to be an athlete. You need to be built like a house. And he's not. And he's a technically refined player. I always thought this is a player who should go to La Liga. I think somebody like him would do really well in the Primera División in Spain, in La Liga, because he has those abilities. He had that profile to play in a league like that. I didn't understand. I understand, like, for him, it was like he really, really wanted to go to the Premier League. But it's like, who's his manager, man? Because that person needs to get fired. Because you need to, like... And I understand, as a football player, like, but I'm really confident in myself. I just had like 3-4 solid years at PSV. I'm at the height of my game. I'm in my prime. He also, I think he had like a bad injury a couple of years ago, and he came back from it. And now it's kind of like, and with players like that, you know, they come off a bad knee injury or something like that. They're often in a position where, okay, this is my chance. It's probably my last chance, and I'm gonna take it. And I think that's probably what was the case with Boscagli, but I think it was a bad decision on his part.
Well, if he comes to us, Kaan will be the best decision he's made in his life. If at least him come to us.
I mean,
I think on paper, I think this guy's exactly what we need. That you have Jallo, right centre back, or to be honest, it'll probably end up being Paulista. The way Sergen had.
I mean, if I would pair him with Jallo 100%. Like,
I would as well, because Jallo's fast as well.
And
I've heard this guy not very quick.
At PSV, he had that as well. He had I don't remember what his name was. Ramalho machine. Ramalho. I think that was probably his partner at PSV, if I remember correctly. I think it was Ramalho. And like, he's kind of known as like not a great defender, but he was fast, and that's something that would really go well hand in hand with Boscagli's shortcomings, because he's not the fastest. But look, I think personally, as a defender, as a central defender, like most world-class center, very few world-class central defenders are known for their pace. I think that central defenders who are known for their pace usually aren't the best, because they never learn how to defend well enough, I think. Because I think if you lack pace, you have to learn how to read the game. You have to learn how to anticipate. You play on instinct. Whereas with defenders who are really, really fast, I think they never truly properly learn those things, and they rely on their pace too often, and that leads to stupid mistakes. So personally, people are always saying, oh, the defender is too slow. I don't think that matters if you're slow as a central defender. I think as long as you're smart, you know where to position yourself, you know how to anticipate where the ball's going to come, where it's going to get played. Like, if you look at John Terry, he wasn't a fast defender. Pepe wasn't particularly fast. Sergio Ramos wasn't particularly fast. Like, I mean, Maldini wasn't particularly fast. Like, I mean, not to say that they were all like slow players or anything like that, but like, they had something else that made them special.
That's the whole thing about fast centre backs is relegation. Wasn't really a thing 15 years ago.
No, because usually if you have a little bit of pace to you, you play as a fullback. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, all the good centre backs we've had, I can't say any of them were particularly quick. Can you think of any really good centre backs we had that were quick?
No. In Turkey in general, the only central defender that was decent, that was also quick, that I can think of was what was this? The bald guy's name from Galatasaray that went to Sevilla and
Macau.
Macau. Yeah, he was decently fast.
Davinson Sanchez is fast.
He's not fast, but yeah, he's fast for a big motherfucker. Yeah. But also, I mean,
I think Jallo's quite quick as well, man. I think
Jallo's quick.
He's
Yeah,
not super quick.
Jallo's pretty quick.
He's not super quick.
Yeah. No, but I mean, look. Usually, as a central defender, you're like 6'3", 6'4". You're not gonna be the fastest person on the pitch. Like if you look at Tammy, did you see that sprint Tammy had in the last game against Fenerbahce?
Yeah,
like an insane sprint. Like
yeah.
Usually, what you've got with these tall motherfuckers is once they get going, once they're running, they're fast. Yeah. The problem is they're not super fast in the first couple of meters. The same thing's true for Romelu Lukaku. You know, when he starts running, like the first couple of meters, he's not gonna be that fast. But once he gets going, he's like unstoppable, you know. But
yeah, but I think going back to the point about Boscagli, see if you get a left centre back that's that good at passing like that indeed his passing and lack of composure on the ball becomes a bit of a non-issue, unless it's obviously clearances. Because
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that's an oversimplification because I think it's like a decent opponent is still just going to isolate players. And look, that's going to happen less to Ndidi.
The Tosic.
Exactly. Yeah, with Tosic, like what they did was they pressed everyone else, and then when Tosic got the ball, they just let him have like a radius of 20 meters and let him run up the pitch. And so that's like a very relatively easy way to counteract something like that. But I don't think Ndidi is Tosic. I don't think he's that in our build-up. Like I think right now we do lack build-up, and that's one of those things where obviously with Sergen, what the impression a lot of us have, including I think us, we were kind of very worried about, look, what's he gonna go for? What type of players is he gonna go for? Is he gonna go for players he knows? You know, like with Gökhan Sazda and Cengiz Ünder, like he only knows Turkish league players. He didn't even know Victor Osimhen before he came to Galatasaray, stuff like that. You know, that makes you, that scares you. But then now you see these names being mentioned, like a Boscagli, like a Jörgensen for the goalkeeper position.
Yeah,
and I'm not very familiar with Jörgensen, but he came through in Spain. And obviously, if one thing we know from Spanish goalkeepers is they're expected to be really good with their feet, and supposedly he is very good with his feet. And if you pair that, because I think that's one of our biggest weaknesses, is we haven't had a goalkeeper who is good with their feet for a long time. I think it's been a big issue with Ersin. It's also a big issue with Mert. It was a huge issue with Tolga. Fabri for a couple of years there, he really fixed that. And if you can have now a goalkeeper who's confident with the ball at his feet, and then you have a central defender like Olivier Boscagli who's confident with the ball at his feet, that could change our build-up. But yeah, Diallo's okay, serviceable. Paulista is okay with the ball at his feet as well. That could change things a little bit already. But then even then, I think you still need to do, you know, the right back needs to be confident with the ball at his feet, which Gökhan is, and Thailand is. Left back Ridvan, not super comfortable. Well, he's comfortable with the ball, but it's like, you know, he's not actually. He's probably comfortable with the ball, but Jurasek, I feel like he's got a good cross in him, but he doesn't feel too comfortable when he's on the ball. But when we see these players like a Jörgensen and like a Boscagli, how do you feel about, like, these profiles look good, right? Like, and this, and then the rumors seem to be concrete. Jörgensen is being reported, I think, by Yaya Sabuncuoğlu, that his manager's coming to Turkey for talks with Beşiktaş. So it looks like the interest is real. With Mert being forced out, you would expect that Beşiktaş are going to make a serious move for a goalkeeper as well. And Boscagli, we have to see if that heats up. But like, these are I think, very exciting rumors.
Yeah, man. Certainly. Just having a look at it as well, and the good thing about Jörgensen is that he meets the age criteria for the +2.
Yeah.
So we actually don't need to get rid of anyone to sign Jörgensen, which is very good.
Yeah.
To sign Boscagli, Felix Udokai would need to go.
Yeah.
So I think, in terms of those names on paper are good. Hadjam's a bit of a different one. Hadjam's recently changed his agent to a Turkish agent.
But
and also,
where did those rumors coming from? Because I mean, do you think that you need to keep in mind as well, we need to sign a winger. Do you think they're gonna, if they bring in Salih Özcan, do you really think that they're gonna bring in another foreign midfielder as well in the same window? It seems like making things difficult, no?
Yeah, and I think the Hadjam I'm talking about that's the left back. Yeah.
Oh, Hadjam. Okay, sorry. Yes. From Young Boys. Right.
Yeah, and it seems like he's picked up a big injury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When did he pick up a big injury then?
In the Africa Cup.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, the other players seem to be good profiles, but Hadjam just seems like the typical. He played well against Galatasaray, so sign.
Yeah, he's having a good season.
Last year I heard that, like, last year when he was mentioned, like, people were saying, no, he's not very good, but it does look like he's actually having a really good season this season.
And he's young.
So maybe he could, and from what I've read, he's not super good on the ball, but he's very dynamic. Loves to get up and down the flank, so
yeah.
Could be a good player. Maybe it'd be good if one of our fullbacks was a bit more technical. Because I don't think Thailand's super technical, and if Hadjam comes out, I think he's super technical either. So maybe it'd be better if one of them are. But the fact that both are dynamic and can go up and down, I think is a good sign. But again, I think that's kind of Hadjam is more of a typical Turkish Super League signing.
Yeah.
But the other names we mentioned are good, and Sergen Yalçın's got some good things in the past. Okay, he's not got the pedigree of an Edward Graf as working as a chief scout for Dortmund, or a scout for Dortmund for years. But he's had some decent things in the past. It's quite weird as well. I saw that Edward Graf made a statement about a certain players not being on our transfer list or the news report. So maybe Graf's a lot more involved in this than we're being led to believe by Sergen. And I do hope that's the case.
I doubt that. I thought that was really weird and kind of came out of left field because I didn't even see the rumor and then he came out and denied it. By the way, it looks like Hadjam was like tackled really badly by Traoré or something in a Burkina Faso match. I don't know if he's actually seriously injured though.
Yeah, we don't know yet, but they're saying it's a very bad tackle.
Yeah. It's only a yellow card as well. I mean, look, we'll see how that develops.
It does say he was taken off after it due to injury.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like he's out for 6 months, right? Like he could be out for 2 weeks or something.
It looks pretty nasty, but so hopefully, if he's the left back the club wants, hopefully he's all right.
But that's like with Hadjam for sure. That looks like a typical Sergen transfer that you'd expect. Where it's like, okay, he, like you said, he played good against Galatasaray in the Champions League qualifiers last season, and this is a typical Turkish transfer in general because if a player plays well against a Turkish club, like obviously all of a sudden Turkish clubs are interested in that player, so he'd be a typical that Turkish transfer in that regard. But when we talk about Boscagli, when we talk about Jörgensen, like these are players that aren't that. And that does give me a little bit of hope to go back to what you were saying, where we just need to hope for the best. Like when you see these types of players being mentioned, and if we are going to start getting serious about them and bring somebody in like that, I think if you can bring in a Boscagli, you can bring in a Jörgensen, a Salih Özcan, potentially Hadjam as a left back, those are some serious reinforcements, I think. And then if you can top that off with a really good winger, that would be an incredibly good window, right?
Yeah, it's hard, but man, I think it's very hard in January because in January, either you pay a premium for a good player, or you're signing other team scraps, the players they don't use.
Yeah.
So it's a hard window, man.
And it's been quiet when it comes to that winger position, because that's one, it was very urgent to address that in the summer. Never got addressed because we were waiting for Jadon Sancho for the longest time. And now, so far, we're seeing rumors about Boscagli, Jörgensen, Salih, Özcan, and Jörgensen seem right now to be the most concrete rumors. But the problem with Jörgensen, the goalkeeper, is as well that, like, apparently, Chelsea obviously have their quota of how many players are allowed to loan out, so they are more keen to sell him. And Beşiktaş, we just had the new statement made for the current debt level. Like, that's also a big question. Like, on one hand, I think Adalı is under tremendous pressure this window to bring in good players and because Sergen's been talking about we need 5-6 transfers in January for ages now. And there's a lot of pressure on Adalı.
I don't see that happening, but when is 5 or 6 transfers ever happen in January? See if we can get, if Udokai goes, we get Boscagli, and then if Jurasek goes, we get Hadjam. If you get Salih, Özcan, a left winger, so what is that? 4 transfers. I think that's a huge success.
But the Jurasek is almost certainly leaving as well, so you need to bring in a left back too. You just have to.
Yeah,
right?
so that's Hadjam. Hadjam's a left back.
Yeah. But like, that's something you need to do. Boscagli, that's 2. Jörgensen is 3. Salih Özcan is 4. Left winger is 5. That's 5 transfers.
You do those 4. I think that's a job well done, man. And you could just say, look, we use Jota and Nashika at left mid until the end of the season.
I think that... I don't know, man. Like, I think if you don't bring in a left winger again, that's a failure. Like, that should be the top priority this window. Like, bring in a left winger. Have you seen anything concrete? Have you seen anything interesting when it comes to wingers right now? Because the Davitashvili has died down, and obviously,
I've not seen anything else. And look, see, ultimately, Jota Silva was brought in to be our left winger. He's injured just now. He's really more of a right winger. I would like to see a left winger, but at the same time, like, see if you were to bring a left winger in, what would you do? Do you send Jota Silva back to Nottingham Forest?
I'd keep him for rotation for sure and use him, but the question is, can you with the foreign limit, right? Like, if you send,
tough.
If Udokai goes, you bring in Boscagli. If Jurasek goes, you bring in Hadjam, for example.
Yeah,
but supposedly, young boys want 10 million euros for Hadjam. That's also that's a tough one as well, because if you bring in a fullback for 10 million euros, the first mistake he makes, you know how they are, how fans are.
Of course.
And then, like, Jörgensen, who's gonna have to go to bring him in? Oh no, right, yeah, he can come in on the.
Jörgensen can come.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. You don't need to make room for him.
So ideally, if we can get a left mid that's on from January 2002, we could work like that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to offer someone.
That's not what we need, right? We need somebody ready to go.
I mean, at that age, even though they're still 23, man, you can get a good player at 23. It's not going to be easy.
But we can't afford that, I don't think. Can we afford a good 23-year-old? Like,
I don't know, man. It depends. Maybe you can. Maybe Saka next spell's great. We'll find someone from fucking like that, a league in Africa or something like that. On the up but down.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, look, I think Adalı is under a tremendous amount of pressure, even with the financial state of the club right now. Like, you would think it, like, if you just saw the announcement of the debt of the club, you would think, we don't have money to make anything happen, but he has to, right? Like, he can't not do anything. If this transfer window ends up a dud, and he brings in, like, the next Kenny and the next Elan Ricardo, and at the end of the window, like, he's no chance in hell that he makes that he makes it another month. Like, people will just start torching the stadium, and rightfully so, I think.
Yeah. So I've just had a look as well. So Hadjam was born in 2003, so he would actually he'd work for the +2 rule as well.
Okay.
So if Jurasek goes, you could sign a left wing.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well, let's hope that in the next week or two something materializes. Hopefully they can close a deal for Salih Özcan as quick as possible. I think if you get that one done quickly, if you can hopefully get the Jörgensen deal done quickly, that's two things already. You know, I think that's one of the most key things when you get into like a transfer window like this, and when you have a lot of work to do. You just have to get those first two transfers so done ASAP to give yourself some breathing space. Because as well, it's not just the pressure from the fans, it's also the pressure and the expectations from Sergen. Sergen expects to be backed, and he should be, right? Like, if you're gonna put all your chips on Sergen, then you have to back him.
Yeah.
As a man, as a boss. Yeah. Anyway, Kartal, thanks for joining me and for making time, for making a little bit of a impromptu episode. I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, of course, already in advance. And
Happy New Year,
and hope
we all had a Merry Christmas.
And a Merry Christmas if you celebrate that, of course, but that's already behind us at this point. So Happy New Year. Hopefully a very Happy New Year for us Beşiktaş fans with some good signings in January that we can get excited about. And who knows, with all the chaos going on in Turkish football right now, Trabzonspor, the winter break came just in time for them. They're slipping a little bit. Galatasaray aren't slipping yet, but like if funny things are gonna start happening, and you know their cup. I mean, like, there's some serious stuff going on right now. The football landscape in Turkey could change dramatically in the next months. But it's Turkey, so they'll probably get bailed out again. Anyway, thank you very much. Happy New Year, and see you in a couple of, hopefully not too long. Hopefully in a couple of days, 10 days, 7 days, so we can talk about some transfers. Bye bye.